Welcome to Bible Stories Retold, where ancient Bible tales are brought to life with a fire that blazes through the darkness of time. Picture yourself standing before a majestic temple, its golden walls shimmering like the flames of heaven, ruled by a king, praised as the wisest in history, who not only governed a mighty empire, but also held the hearts of 1,000 women in an enchanting harem. But what if, behind the dazzling golden walls of Solomon's temple, there lies a hidden world where power, desire, and supernatural rituals intertwine, leading to the collapse of a kingdom? How could a man, blessed by God with unparalleled wisdom, be swept into a whirlwind of ambition and mistakes, forever altering history? Solomon's story is more than a chapter in the Bible. It's a mirror reflecting our own desires and flaws. Who among us hasn't dreamed of wisdom to make the right choices or power to shape the world around us? But what happens when those gifts lead us astray, down paths even a great king couldn't foresee? In this video, you'll uncover the untold secrets of Solomon's temple, his intrigue-filled harem, and the true cost of greatness. From sacred rituals in the Holy of Holies to seductive nights in the palace, from supernatural powers to the fall of a kingdom, this story will make you reflect on your own choices. If you're ready to embark on a journey to unravel the mysteries of Solomon and the story of his 1,000 wives, write 888 in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to join us in opening the door to the glorious yet tragic world of Israel's greatest king. Imagine standing on a hill in Jerusalem in 957 BC as the first rays of dawn touch Mount Moriah, where a magnificent structure rises to the heavens like a divine flame. Solomon's temple, the greatest wonder of the ancient world, was not just a building, but an embodiment of faith, power, and the yearning to touch heaven. Its walls, covered in pure gold, gleamed under the sunlight, casting a radiant halo that made anyone who gazed upon it feel as though they were beholding the very light of the God. Each sunbeam reflecting off the golden surface whispered of the divine, as if this structure belonged not to this earth. How could a temple wield such power that it brought kings and commoners alike to their knees before its splendor? According to the Bible, 1 Kings 5, 1-18, Solomon mobilized a vast army of laborers, over 180,000 workers, from skilled stonemasons to masterful carpenters, who toiled tirelessly for 7 years to bring his dream to life. Massive stone blocks, quarried from distant mines, were cut with precision that still baffles modern engineers. Each stone, weighing tons, was transported and fitted without a single gap, as if molded from a single cast. Cedar wood from Lebanon, the most prized timber of the era, was hauled across miles of scorching deserts and rugged mountains by caravans stretching into the horizon. The gentle fragrance of cedar permeated every corner of the temple, a constant reminder that this was a place where humanity and divinity intertwined. Phoenician artisans, sent by King Hiram of Tyre, were the master craftsmen of their time, wielding skills that seemed almost supernatural. According to 1 Kings 7:13-14, they carved intricate patterns into the golden walls, palm leaves, lotus flowers, with such precision that one might believe each line was guided by the hand of God. The sounds of hammers and chisels echoed day and night, creating a symphony of devotion, as if heaven itself oversaw the construction. The temple's dimensions were awe-inspiring, 98 feet long, 33 feet wide, and 49 feet high at the main sanctuary, 1 Kings 6:2. Large enough to make any visitor feel small before the greatness of God and King Solomon. Two colossal pillars, Jachin and Boaz, stood proudly at the entrance, each over 30 feet tall, adorned with bronze pomegranates and intricate braided chains. 1 Kings 7:15-22. Jachin, meaning strength, and Boaz, meaning stability, were not just architectural marvels, but a declaration that Solomon's kingdom would endure through time. Yet what made these pillars more than mere symbols of material might, transforming them into gateways to a sacred realm? Every detail of the temple, from its gleaming gold to its fragrant wood, told a story of a king's ambition to bring his people closer to God. The temple was not just a place of worship. It was a testament to power and faith, a wonder that humbled the entire ancient world. Deep within the temple, concealed behind exquisitely embroidered silk curtains and radiant golden walls, lies the Holy of Holies, a small chamber wielding spiritual power greater than any palace on earth. This perfect cube, with each side measuring 10 meters, 1 Kings 6:16-20, housed the Ark of the Covenant, the most sacred relic of Israel, symbolizing the eternal covenant between God and his people. What made this tiny room the only place on earth directly connected to the divine realm? The Ark of the Covenant, crafted from acacia wood and overlaid with gold, contained the 2 stone tablets inscribed with the 10 Commandments, the very heart of Israel's faith. Exodus 25:10-22. According to tradition, this was where God promised to dwell, where his divine light shone and his voice resounded. Only the high priest was permitted to enter this chamber, and only once a year, on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, bearing sacrificial blood to plead for forgiveness for the nation's sins. Leviticus 16:14-15. This ritual was not merely a religious act, but a moment when the boundary between humanity and God seemed to dissolve, leaving the entire kingdom holding its breath in anticipation. The air within the Holy of Holies was thick with sanctity, filled with the sacred incense blended with the scent of cedarwood, creating a sensory experience that made anyone nearby feel God's presence. Towering cherubim, carved from olive wood and covered in gold, stood over 15 feet tall, guarding the ark, with their outstretched wings touching to form a sacred canopy. 1 Kings 6:23-28. The golden glow from the cherubim and walls reflected a soft, ethereal light, as if the room existed in another dimension, detached from the mortal world. Thick silk curtains, embroidered with gold and purple thread, veiled the entrance, acting as a barrier between humanity and the divine. Every detail in this chamber was designed to honor holiness. The floor was paved with precious stones from distant lands, each gem carrying a story of journeys across oceans to reach Jerusalem. The incense, blended from a secret recipe known only to the high priests, Exodus 30:34-38, released a sweet fragrance as if carrying the people's prayers straight to heaven. But what made this place so mysterious? It was the fact that even Solomon, the king blessed with divine wisdom, dared not cross its threshold. The Holy of Holies was where human power ceased, giving way to God's presence, a reminder that no matter how great, Solomon remained mortal before the Creator. As the first rays of sunlight pierced the golden walls of Solomon's temple, a sacred symphony began, as if heaven and earth merged in a divine rhythm. The massive bronze gates swung open, their resounding echo like thunder, signaling the start of a day filled with ritual and devotion. The Levites, chosen from the tribe of Levi, moved with the precision of an army, each action carrying profound meaning, as if weaving a spiritual tapestry for the entire nation. Could these flawless rituals conceal a hidden power known only to Solomon? Each day began with a cleansing ritual, deemed as sacred as the sacrifices themselves. According to Leviticus 8:6-12, the Levites used water from golden vessels, drawn from holy springs near Jerusalem, to purify the temple courtyard. The marble floor, polished meticulously by hand, gleamed like a mirror, reflecting not just images but, as legend holds, the souls of those who walked upon it. Dedicated attendants, specially trained, swept the courtyard with sanctified brooms, ensuring no speck of dust defiled the sacred space. Every motion was performed with reverence, as if each sweep was a prayer. In the temple courtyard, Levite musicians, trained from childhood under King David's guidance, 1 Chronicles 25, 1-7, took their places. They played harps with delicate strings, silver cymbals, and resounding trumpets, producing melodies that seemed to come from heaven itself. These songs, composed by David, were not mere music, but living prayers, echoing through Jerusalem's walls as if calling God to listen. Each melody was chosen for a specific time of day, from dawn to dusk, creating a sacred rhythm for the entire kingdom. The outer courtyard hosted a sacrificial market, but this was no ordinary bazaar. According to Leviticus 22:20-25, every animal, lamb, bull, or dove, had to be meticulously inspected by priests to ensure it was without blemish, worthy of offering to God. Prices were carefully regulated, allowing even the poorest to participate in the rituals, a testament to the fairness of Israel's faith. An intricate water system, featuring a massive bronze sea supported by 12 bronze oxen, 1 Kings 7:23-26, was an engineering marvel, holding thousands of gallons of water for purification rites. This bronze sea was not just a source of water, but a symbol of spiritual purity, reminding all that only a cleansed heart could approach God. Before serving, priests underwent rigorous purification rituals, donning fine linen garments stored in special chambers. Exodus 28, 2-4. Each piece, robe, sash, turban, was worn in a precise order, accompanied by prayers to align their souls with divine purpose. The showbread, baked in a sacred oven using an ancestral recipe, was replaced every Sabbath, symbolizing God's unending provision. Leviticus 24:5-9. The holy incense, crafted from a secret formula known only to senior priests, Exodus 30:34-38, filled the air with a sweet fragrance, as if carrying the people's prayers directly to heaven. Every act in the temple, from the golden lamps burning bright to the wafting aroma, was part of a sacred symphony, making this place not just a center of worship, but the heartbeat of Israel's faith. Among all the wonders of Solomon's temple, one secret surpasses the splendor of gold and gems: the supernatural power of the king blessed by God. According to the Testament of Solomon, an ancient mystical text, Solomon possessed a ring engraved with God's sacred name, granting him dominion over spirits and demons. A king who could command demons, but did this power come from God or a darker source? This ring, described in legend as a divine artifact, was more than a symbol of authority. It was the key to Solomon's ability to achieve feats beyond human capability. According to 1 Kings 6:7, the temple's massive stones were cut and placed without the sound of hammers or chisels at the site, a feat that modern scholars suspect involved supernatural aid. The Testament of Solomon recounts how he summoned demons, compelling them to move stones weighing tons as if they were feathers. Some demons served as messengers, traversing vast distances in an instant, bringing news from far-off lands to Jerusalem. Others revealed secrets of creation, from the healing properties of plants like myrrh and aloe to the qualities of metals and gems, making Solomon a master of medicine and alchemy. This knowledge not only aided in building the temple, but also elevated Solomon's reputation as a king of otherworldly wisdom. According to 1 Kings 4:29-34, kings and queens from the Queen of Sheba to Phoenician lords traveled to Jerusalem to hear Solomon expound on nature and philosophy. Yet his power was not for boasting. Solomon, in reverence for God, viewed the ring as a gift from the Creator, used solely to glorify Him. In 1 Kings 3:5-14, God granted Solomon wisdom and wealth, but also placed him in a position to govern unseen forces, a weighty responsibility few could bear. Every stone in the temple, every cedar beam, bore the mark of Solomon's connection to the divine. But this secret raises a question. Could a mortal wield such immense power without paying a price? Solomon used his abilities with caution, always reverent before God, yet even in his devotion a shadow loomed. Could this power, though from God, lead him to challenges that even the greatest wisdom couldn't foresee? Solomon's temple, in all its glory, was not just a place of worship, but a stage for supernatural secrets, where a king stood at the crossroads of humanity and divinity. If Solomon's temple was a divine flame blazing atop Mount Moriah, then his harem was a labyrinth of power, desire, and secrets never spoken aloud. From the gleaming gold of the Holy of Holies, where Solomon seemed to touch the heavens with his ring of power, we step into an entirely different world, the harem, where 1,000 women were not just wives and concubines, but emissaries of kingdoms, players in a sophisticated game of politics. Every smile, every glance, every dance in this palace carried a deeper meaning than the eye could see. Was Solomon's harem merely a place of pleasure, or a silent battlefield where the fate of an entire empire was decided? Stepping into Solomon's harem was like entering a miniature kingdom, where 1,000 women, 700 royal wives, and 300 concubines lived in a world of opulence, enveloped in silk, gold, and intricate rituals. But this was more than a place of beauty and joy. The harem was a center of political power, where international alliances were forged, kingdoms were strengthened, and the fate of a nation was shaped. A palace housing 1,000 women. But did Solomon's heart truly belong to any one of them? According to 1 Kings 11:1-3, Solomon married princesses from distant lands, Egypt, Moab, Ammon, Sidon, and Hittite, not only for love, but for diplomatic strategy. Each marriage was a treaty, a thread binding Jerusalem to mighty empires. The daughter of Pharaoh, who stood at the pinnacle of the harem's hierarchy, was treated as a true queen. Her private palace, described in 1 Kings 7:8, was an architectural masterpiece, adorned with Egyptian hieroglyphs and luxurious furnishings from the Nile Valley. Fine linen, woven from threads so delicate they were translucent like water, draped her body, making her appear as a goddess from Egyptian mythology. Her entourage, consisting of hundreds of servants, dancers, and musicians, brought the sounds of golden cymbals and the fragrance of Egyptian incense, creating an atmosphere like a corner of Memphis in the heart of Jerusalem. The harem was not merely a residence for these wives and concubines. It functioned like a small city with a complex management system. According to ancient traditions, each woman was granted a royal seal, allowing her to conduct business transactions, send correspondence to her homeland, and maintain alliances with her kingdom. Appointed scribes meticulously recorded every detail: names, lineages, dowries, exchanged gifts, and, most crucially, the children born from their unions with Solomon. A veritable army, stewards, guards, chefs, physicians, and midwives ensured every operation ran smoothly. Strict rules were enforced to maintain order. No wife could visit another without permission, a measure to prevent conspiracies and secret alliances. But could these lavish walls truly contain the ambitions of such powerful women? Solomon's harem was not just a gathering of 1,000 women. It was a cultural prism where traditions from across the ancient world converged, creating a vibrant tapestry unlike any other. Each wife and concubine brought the heritage of her homeland, from the seductive dances of Egypt to the heart-melting love songs of Moab. How did these women transform the harem into a world of beauty and power too captivating to resist? Egyptian women, led by Pharaoh's daughter, mastered the art of belly dancing, their movements flowing like the Nile River. Historical records of ancient Egyptian culture note that these dances were not mere performances, but rituals connecting the body to the soul of the cosmos. The sound of golden cymbals, a distinctive instrument, rang out like whispers from the gods, turning each dance into a story told through motion. Phoenician women, hailing from the port cities of Tyre and Sidon, were masters of fragrance. They crafted perfumes from myrrh, resin, aloe, and rare herbs, creating scents that could enchant the senses. Legend has it that a single drop of their perfume could plunge an entire room into a state of rapture, as if time itself stood still. Moabite women, with their sweet voices, brought love songs inspired by the ancient poetry of their land. These melodies, soft yet powerful, could melt even the hardest heart, as if woven from the very threads of emotion. In the harem's secret gardens, where pomegranate trees and vineyards bloomed under the moonlight, the women gathered, not to compete, but to share knowledge. They exchanged ancient herbal recipes, from healing oils to concoctions that enhanced allure. They taught each other hypnotic dances, with movements as fluid as ocean waves, and the refined art of conversation, where every word was an arrow aimed straight at the heart. Music in the harem was a magic of its own. Harps strung with delicate threads produced sounds as gentle as a whispering breeze. Drums with rhythms deep as a heartbeat pulsed through courtly nights, bringing the air to life. Flutes with notes like passionate sighs seemed to speak directly to the soul. According to ancient traditions, music was not just entertainment, but a bridge to the soul, a way to touch the deepest emotions. Were these melodies the key to unlocking Solomon's heart, or were they weapons in a grander game of power? The harem, with its blend of cultures, was a world where beauty and intellect intertwined, creating an irresistible force. Each night in Solomon's harem was a celebration of love, beauty, and power, prepared through rituals so meticulous they bordered on the divine. As the sun set and oil lamps flickered in the palace, a chosen woman, her identity cloaked in the whispers of messengers, began a day-long journey to prepare for her moment with Solomon. Were these rituals truly symbols of love, or a cleverly disguised game of power? The process began at dawn, when the woman was led to the Purification House, a separate building in the harem designed like a small temple dedicated to the art of beauty. There, she bathed in 7 pools, each infused with special oils, myrrh, aloe, cinnamon, and cassia, blended according to secret recipes passed down through generations, based on ancient Middle Eastern courtly beauty traditions. Each oil held its own meaning: myrrh for purification, aloe for healing, cinnamon for passion. 7 personal attendants, meticulously trained, tended to every detail, washing her hair with rose essence, combing it with ivory combs inlaid with gems, and massaging her skin with a blend of honey, goat's milk, and a secret oil, making her glow with an almost divine aura. Her fingernails were dyed with henna, adorned with intricate patterns that told love stories in ancient script, a silent declaration of seduction. Her attire consisted of fine fabrics, woven from threads so thin they resembled spider silk, dyed with rare pigments from seashells and minerals. According to ancient traditions, these fabrics were not only beautiful, but symbolic, reflecting the wearer's status and allure. Jewelry, necklaces, bracelets, rings, was donned with care, each piece carrying a story. A pearl from the Red Sea, a sapphire from the distant east, as if they were fragments of Solomon's kingdom. The royal chamber, where the encounter took place, was prepared with equal care. Golden censers released intoxicating fragrances blended from sacred incense and exotic herbs. Rose and jasmine petals, plucked from the palace gardens, were scattered across silk sheets, creating a dreamlike scene. Small oil lamps, meticulously arranged, cast a soft glow, like stars hovering in the darkness. Musicians, hidden in adjacent rooms, played melodies from the Song of Songs, a sacred love poem believed to be penned by Solomon himself. These notes, sweet as honey, filled the air with romance and mystery, as if preparing for a ritual beyond the earthly realm. Before meeting Solomon, the woman was guided by the harem's elders in the art of love. These older women with years of accumulated wisdom passed down closely guarded secrets, how a single glance could speak more than 1,000 words, how a gesture could ignite passion, or how a whisper could alter destiny. Every movement, every word was rehearsed to ensure the night became an unforgettable experience. But were these rituals merely to please the king, or did they conceal a deeper purpose where love and power intertwined? Solomon's harem was not just a place of beauty and ritual. It was a silent battlefield where each woman vied for the king's favor and a place in history. In the opulent corridors, where lamplight danced on jewel-encrusted walls, secret alliances formed, subtle schemes were woven, and every smile could hide a dagger. In this harem filled with intrigue, who truly held the key to Solomon's heart and kingdom? The rivalry in the harem went beyond beauty. Some women wielded intellect, engaging in discreet discussions with Solomon about politics, philosophy, or kingdom strategies. According to 1 Kings 10:1-10, the Queen of Sheba was awed by Solomon's wisdom, and many harem wives sought to impress him similarly, becoming unofficial advisors in intimate moments. A timely piece of advice or sharp idea could make Solomon see them not just as wives, but as partners in power. Others chose art to captivate the king. They composed poetry, wove songs inspired by the Song of Songs, or performed dances that held Solomon's gaze. A Phoenician wife might gift Solomon a vial of custom-blended perfume, its scent evoking the shores of Tyre. A Moabite princess might recite a poem, its words flowing like a stream through the desert, touching his heart. These gifts, a spiced goblet of wine, a poem etched on scented parchment, a piece of jewelry with cryptic symbols, were not mere objects, but a secret language conveying affection, loyalty, or even warnings. Secret alliances formed among the women, particularly between concubines and powerful royal wives. A clever concubine could rise by aligning with Pharaoh's daughter, using the connection to gain access to Solomon. Servants played a critical role in this game, carrying covert messages through the corridors, observing the king's every gesture, and reporting back to their mistresses. In ancient traditions, these servants were not just staff, but the eyes and ears of the harem, their loyalty capable of shifting destinies. Strict rules were enforced to control the rivalry. No wife could visit another without permission from the messengers, often respected older women managing harem communications. According to records of ancient courts, these measures aimed to prevent conspiracies and dangerous alliances, but they also heightened tensions, making every glance and word a move in a game of power. Could this rivalry keep the harem in order, or was it silently sowing the seeds of chaos that would engulf Solomon's kingdom? Within the opulent walls of Solomon's harem, where wives from Egypt, Moab, and Sidon brought their dances, songs, and fragrances from distant homelands, an invisible war quietly erupted, not fought with swords or spears, but with faith and souls. Each wife, with her unique beauty and culture, also carried the gods of her people. Isis from the Nile Valley, Astarte from the shores of Sidon, Chemosh from the highlands of Moab. How could the wisest king in history allow the faith of an entire nation to be threatened by his own wives? According to 1 Kings 11:4-8, Solomon's foreign wives swayed his heart, causing him to stray from the wholehearted devotion to God that his father, King David, had exemplified. The daughter of Pharaoh, in her private palace adorned with hieroglyphs and altars to Isis and Osiris, conducted secret rituals under the moonlight, where swirling incense rose like prayers to Egyptian gods. The Sidonian women, devoted to Astarte, the goddess of love and war, lit incense in hidden corners of the harem, where lamplight mingled with fragrant smoke, creating an atmosphere like a miniature pagan temple. Moabite women in the shadows of pomegranate gardens performed offerings to Chemosh, the god of war, their songs echoing like calls to battle. Initially, Solomon tolerated these practices as a diplomatic gesture, a means to maintain peace with allied kingdoms. Historical records of ancient Middle Eastern courts note that allowing foreign worship was common in political marriages. But Solomon's boundless curiosity, which once led him to uncover creation's secrets through his ring of power, took him too far. He not only permitted but participated, building pagan altars on the hills around Jerusalem. 1 Kings 11:7. These altars, dedicated to Chemosh and Molech, were not just structures, but symbols of the spiritual division tearing at the kingdom. The people, who revered Solomon as God's chosen king, began to follow his lead. According to 1 Kings 11:5-6, seeing the king worship foreign gods, they too turned from God, filling Jerusalem with the sounds of pagan drums and the smoke of alien altars. Prophets like Ahijah, 1 Kings 11:29-31, warned of the consequences of this unfaithfulness, but their voices were drowned out by the laughter from the harem and the music of pagan rituals. Did Solomon realize that these practices were not mere tolerance, but a fire quietly consuming the faith of a nation? This spiritual battle, waged in the shadows of the palace, shook the sacred foundation that Solomon's temple once represented. Solomon's harem, with its 1,000 women and lavish rituals, was not only a spiritual battlefield, but also an economic burden weighing heavily on the kingdom. Each wife and concubine, from Pharaoh's daughter to Moabite princesses, demanded a lifestyle befitting royalty: private palaces, servants, silken garments, pearl jewelry, and exotic foods from far-off lands. When gold could no longer hide the truth, what truly plunged Solomon's kingdom into darkness? According to 1 Kings 10:14-15, at his peak, Solomon received 666 talents of gold annually, equivalent to billions of dollars today, from trade and tributes. His treasury was once a symbol of prosperity, with gold flowing from trade routes to Ophir and the ports of Tyre. But the cost of maintaining the harem was unimaginable. Each wife required an entourage of dozens of servants, from cooks preparing Egyptian dishes to tailors weaving fine linen. Ancient court records suggest a royal harem could consume thousands of pounds of silver yearly just for food and clothing. The harem's banquets, featuring wine imported from Phoenicia and spices from the east, turned every night into a luxurious festival, but also a tear in the kingdom's treasury. To meet these demands, Solomon raised taxes and imposed forced labor on his people. According to 1 Kings 12:4, the people later complained that the tax burden under Solomon was unbearable. Those who once took pride in their wise king, who built a magnificent temple, now whispered discontent. Construction projects, from the harem to fortresses guarding Jerusalem, required thousands of laborers, many forced to leave their families to work in harsh conditions. According to 1 Kings 5:13-16, Solomon conscripted 30,000 men to work in rotation in Lebanon for timber, alongside tens of thousands more at stone quarries. The golden radiance that once glorified Solomon's reign was now overshadowed by the suffering of his people. The vibrant markets of Jerusalem, once bustling with international trade, began to echo with murmurs of resentment. The people no longer saw Solomon as a king blessed by God, but as a ruler consumed by the extravagance of his court. Did Solomon realize that the splendid gifts and rituals of the harem, however beautiful, were draining the lifeblood of the kingdom he built? This economic burden not only depleted the treasury, but shattered the trust of the people, turning the light of Solomon's reign into darkness. In the labyrinth of the harem, where wives and concubines vied for Solomon's favor, the children born of these alliances became the center of both hope and conflict. The Bible records only one legitimate son, Rehoboam, born to Naamah, an Ammonite woman. 1 Kings 14:21. Yet scholars believe dozens of other princes and princesses were born from the 1,000 women of the harem. Were these children a light of hope, or the flames that would burn Solomon's kingdom to ashes. Each child born in the harem was not just an heir, but a symbol of a political alliance. A prince born to an Egyptian princess carried the blood of the Nile Valley, while a princess from a Sidonian mother bore the legacy of Phoenician trade ports. These children grew up in an isolated world, surrounded by luxury but burdened by the expectations of their mothers and homelands. According to ancient traditions, children of royal marriages were often educated to serve as bridges between kingdoms, and Solomon was no exception. He summoned tutors from across the world, from Egyptian philosophers to Hebrew scholars, to teach his children languages, philosophy, and arts. 1 Kings 4:30-31. But this multicultural education, though rich, sowed seeds of division. Hebrew tutors, loyal to the law of Moses, taught the children about Israel's faith, emphasizing reverence for God and his covenant. Meanwhile, foreign tutors brought tales of Isis, Baal, and Chemosh, undermining their spiritual foundation. Rehoboam, the legitimate heir, grew up straddling two worlds, the Hebrew faith on one side and the allure of foreign cultures from his mother and harem aunts on the other. According to 1 Kings 12:1-14, this conflict would shape his reign, leading to the division of Israel into two kingdoms. Solomon, despite his wisdom, remained distant from his children. He entrusted their upbringing to their mothers and tutors, allowing them to shape the heirs in the image of their homelands. This created factions within the harem, with each mother vying to secure a future for her child on the throne. Historical records of ancient courts note that power struggles among royal mothers often led to intrigue and division, and Solomon's harem was no exception. These children, raised in luxury, grew up in an atmosphere of tension where loyalty was tested and ambition smoldered. Did Solomon realize that his children, instead of uniting the kingdom, were becoming the seeds of division that would destroy his legacy? Solomon's story, from the golden splendor of the temple to the labyrinth of the harem, is a tale of greatness and human fragility. He was the wisest king, blessed by God with wisdom, wealth, and supernatural power. Yet even he could not escape the temptations of desire and the fall into idolatry. What can Solomon's story teach you about shaping your own legacy in today's world? According to 1 Kings 11:9-13, God was angry with Solomon for turning away from him to worship foreign gods. As a consequence, his kingdom, once a symbol of unity and prosperity, was destined to fracture after his death. Rehoboam, Solomon's heir, inherited a fractured kingdom where the northern tribes rebelled and formed a separate Israel, 1 Kings 12:16-20. This decline was not merely the result of economic or political decisions, but of spiritual choices. Solomon, despite his unmatched wisdom, let his heart be led by his foreign wives and their gods, losing his devotion to God. Yet Solomon's legacy is not solely one of failure. He left behind the temple, a marvel still revered in the Bible as a symbol of Israel's faith. He gave us the Song of Songs, a love poem that speaks not only of human passion, but of the love between God and his people. According to biblical scholars, Solomon's wisdom, recorded in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, continues to inspire millions across centuries. His teachings on humility, justice, and the fear of God, Proverbs 1:7, are timeless lessons, reminding us that true wisdom must be paired with faith and responsibility. Connecting to today, Solomon's story is a warning for us all. We all crave wisdom, power, or success, but these gifts, if not balanced by humility and loyalty to higher values, can lead to ruin. What can you learn from Solomon to shape your own life? Reflect on the choices you make each day. They could be the stones building an enduring legacy or the cracks leading to failure. Solomon reminds us that no matter how great, humans need a spiritual compass to guide them. His legacy, with its brilliance and shadows, is a mirror for us to gaze into, to live with purpose and faith. Solomon's story, from the gleaming gold of the temple to the intrigues of the harem, from supernatural power to the fall of a kingdom, is a journey both inspiring and cautionary. It reminds us that even the greatest among us can stumble, and our choices, whether small or grand, shape our future. What are you building in your life? A temple of faith and purpose, or a harem of ambition and desire? Let this story be a guiding light, urging you to reflect on what truly matters. What did you feel about Solomon's journey? What in his story made you pause and think? Share your thoughts in the comments below to let us know you were captivated. If this video inspired you, hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe with notifications on to catch more meaningful Bible stories. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Let wisdom and faith guide you, like a lamp in Solomon's temple, illuminating the path ahead. We'll see you in the next story, where we'll continue uncovering the secrets and lessons of the Bible.